Hello students, let's quickly get into the second part of this video, that is care of the children in preventive pediatrics. In India, children constitute majority of the population. About 40% of the population is constituted by children less than 14 years of age. So they are also the vulnerable group. So when you are writing about preventive pediatrics, the first point is this: 40% of Indian population is comprised of children less than 5 years. Second point is you have to thoroughly understand what is the period of infancy, that is 1 year. And infancy has two components, neonatal period and postnatal period. Neonatal period only the first 28 days of life, and postnatal period 28 days to 1 year. Similarly, preschool age means 1 to 4 years, school age means 5 to 14 years. This is how we classify the age group of children in pediatric age group. This is how we classify the age group of children. Now in antenatal pediatrics, the important things are amniocentesis, ultrasonography, fetoscopy, chorionic biopsy. Spacing between the children of 2 to 3 years will prevent a lot of pediatric problems and prevention of congenital abnormalities. In this pediatric age group, the infancy, that is children less than 1 year of age, they constitute 2.9% to 92% of the total population. We saw 40% are children. Among these children, 2.92% are infancy, children who are in infantile period. So about 40% of infant mortality occurs during this infancy period only. So this is the most high risk period for pediatrics. Infancy period is the most high risk period for pediatrics because deaths can easily occur during this period. The current infant mortality rate of India is 58 per thousand, which is very high compared to Western countries. And infant mortality is an indirect indicator of socio-economic development of a country. So what are the components of neonatal care? It's mainly the immediate care what we are giving, which is Apgar score. I will give you a shortcut to remember how to remember the Apgar score. And then the neonatal examination, any infection of the newborn, then measuring the baby immediately at birth, the length of the baby and weight of the baby, and then neonatal screening for pediatric problem and identifying at-risk infants. So this is the more important components of early neonatal care, and the second is late neonatal care. So this is a picture showing optimum newborn care. So at the time of delivery, if it is a normal infant, they go through regular nursery and then to home. Whereas if it is a high risk infant, then and also it is associated with complications, then if there is need for special procedures, it should be done, or the baby should be sent to special care nursery with neonatal intensive care unit. Without complication, we can temporarily observe the baby and then send to regular nursery and then to home. In infancy period, the first week of life is the most crucial period in infancy because the 61.3% of all infant deaths occur during the first month of life. So what are the objectives of early neonatal care? Establish and maintenance of cardiorespiratory function, maintenance of body temperature, avoiding the infection, satisfactory feeding, and early detection of congenital and acquired disorders. The immediate care of the baby. In immediate care of the baby, what we have to do is clearing the airway, checking for the Apgar score, care of the cord should be properly cut and tied using a sterile clip, care of the eyes, care of the skin, maintenance of body temperature, and then breastfeeding. So immediately after birth, what we are actually doing is positioning the baby upward down. The legs will be up and the baby's head will be down. In this way, we are ensuring that the secretions are draining and the baby is able to breathe properly, so that the mucus and amniotic fluid will be secreted down, will drain down, and the baby will be able to breathe normally. For this purpose, we are holding the baby in the inverted position, and also all the labor ward will be equipped with suction, oxygen, and the intubation and assisted respiration facilities. And then we have to check for, so with the help of resuscitation, we should try to resuscitate the baby. Next is we have to check for the Apgar score. We have to check the Apgar score at 1 minute and once again at 5 minutes after birth. So this is the Apgar score. To remember easily the Apgar score, Just picturize a baby in prone position, and in this baby what we are going to check, first we are going to check the heart rate, and then we have to check for the lungs, the respiration, and then we have to check for the muscle tone which we see in the biceps, and then the reflex response. Usually we see the reflex response in the ankle, and the color. Normally to see a person's color, where do you see? We see the face color of the person. To see the person is fair or black or dark, we see the face. So just remember this picture: the heart, the lungs, the biceps where we see muscle tone, the ankle where we see the reflex response, and then the face where we see the color. So in this way, if you remember the picture, you will not forget about Apgar score. So the heart rate is coded, you know, that 0, 1, 2, heart rate is absent, 0, if it is over 100, 1, normal. Respiratory rate absent, slow, irregular or good crying. Muscle tone, flaccid, some flexion or active movements. Reflex response, no response, grimace, cry. Color, blue or pale. Body, pink, extremities blue, completely pink. So in this way, 0, 1 and 0, 1 and 2 we score, and then we see the total score. If the total score is 0 to 3, it is severe depression. If the total score is 4 to 6, it is only mild depression, and if the total score is 7 to 10, there is no depression. So the care of the cord, we have to see that the baby derives the 10 ml of extra blood before you cut the cord. Keep the cord dry. Aseptic precautions should be maintained, and then the cord dries and separates by aseptic necrosis by itself in 5 to 8 days. Next, coming to the care of the eye, you have to see that the eyes are open. The lid margins should be cleaned with sterile wet swab. As a preventive measure to prevent the infection, specific care should be taken while conducting face or breech delivery. Care of the skin, the first thing is you have to remove the vernix, meconium and blood clots by using soap and warm water, and then we have to apply warm oil before giving the first bath. The first bath will be done by the nursing staff. Thereafter, no bathing is necessary until the day before discharge. The first bathing may be delayed for 12 to 24 hours after birth to avoid cooling the body temperature. In maintenance of body temperature, one important point here you have to note, that is 75% of the heat loss will occur from the head of the baby. So you should take care that the head of the baby is properly wrapped up, and also the whole body should be wrapped up properly to prevent the loss of body heat and to prevent hypothermia. Next is breastfeeding should be initiated within an hour of birth instead of waiting for several hours, because it will promote the bonding, and also the first milk or colostrum should be given because it has high concentration of protein, other nutrient body needs. The first examination will be done soon after birth in the labor room. Second examination will be done within 24 hours by the pediatrician. Who is an infected newborn? Newborn with neonatal tetanus, congenital syphilis, or newborn with HBV positive mother, or newborn with HIV positive mother. What are the measurements? The birth weight of the baby within the first hour of life, the length of the baby within 3 days we have to measure, the head circumference we have to measure, and the maximum circumference of the head at the occipitofrontal diameter is the head circumference. What is the purpose of taking this measurement? Whether we have to know whether the baby's head size is of standard or whether the baby is having micro or macrocephaly. Then to compare the size with estimated period of gestation, whether the baby is small for date or normal, to provide a baseline against which subsequent progress can be measured during the growth of the baby. So these are some of the measurements: the weight in kilogram, the length in the total height, sitting height, heel knee length, perimeter, head, chest, abdomen and calf, diameter, biacromial, bicrystal, biepicondylar, bistyloid, bicondylar diameters, the skin fold thickness, the triceps, biceps, suprailiac and subscapular skin fold thickness we will be measuring. So why do we do neonatal screening? To detect infants with treatable genetic, developmental and secondary problems, and to provide parents with genetic counseling. Here what do? We take 10 to 15 ml of cord blood. Here what do? We take 10 to 15 ml of cord blood and store it to identify any future problems, genetic problems, or for any future treatment. So what are the common disorders screened during this period? Phenylketonuria, neonatal hypothyroidism, Coombs test, sickle cell or other hemoglobinopathies, and congenital dislocation of hip. These are the things we will be screening. Who are at-risk infants? When the birth weight is less than 2.5 kg, when the birth are twins, when the birth order is 5 or more, when there is artificial feeding, when the weight is below 70% of the expected weight, and the failure to gain weight during the 3 successive months, children with protein allergy, malnutrition or diarrhea, working mother or one parent. So these are at-risk infants. Like high-risk mother, we have to also identify at-risk infants. These infants are at high risk of dying. So till now we saw early neonatal care. Now what is the late neonatal care? The remaining 3 weeks of neonatal period is the postnatal period. So this is the care during this period is late neonatal care. So during this period, be on lookout for diarrhea and pneumonia. The low birth weight is a very important essay question for you. It is the birth weight of an infant is the single most important determinant of his chance of survival, healthy growth and development. There are two groups in birth weight, that is a short gestational period, when the baby is born before 37 completed weeks. So then it is short gestation. So naturally, if the baby is born at 28 weeks, the baby will be small. So that is small for date. Whereas there is another group called IUGR, intrauterine growth retardation. Here the baby is born after 37 weeks of completed, but the problem is the baby will be suffering from and the mother will be suffering from anemia or some other systemic problem. Because of the problem, there will be IUGR. Because of IUGR, the baby will be born with low birth weight. So this is second category. So in low birth weight, we are having two different groups of children. So what is low birth weight? When the birth weight is less than 2.5 kg, the first hour of life, it is called low birth weight. Based on the time of delivery, we classify the babies into extremely preterm and the baby is born less than 28 weeks, very preterm when the baby is born between 28 to 30 weeks, and moderate to late preterm when the baby is born 32 to 37 weeks. So the formula for calculating the small for dead baby, the percentage of low birth weight baby is live on babies with birth weight less than 2.5 kg divided by the total number of live births into 100. So what are the maternal factors responsible for low birth weight? So it is the same thing which we discussed in the previous video regarding the high risk mother. So just you write all the factors which we listed out during the high risk mother. So those high risk mothers are all the risk factor for low birth weight. And what are the fetal factors responsible for low birth weight? Fetal abnormalities, intrauterine infection in the fetus, chromosomal abnormality in the fetus, and multiple gestation. So these are fetal factors. And important placental factor responsible for low birth weight, insufficiency of placental blood supply, abnormality of the placenta. So these two can lead to low birth weight. So how to prevent low birth weight? There are direct and indirect intervention measures. The direct intervention measure, increasing the food intake, controlling the infection, early detection and treatment of medical disorder. Indirect intervention, if the birth weight is less than 2 kg, first class modern neonatal care should be given. 2 to 2.5 kg, ICU care should be given for a day or two. And kangaroo mother technique is especially very useful when the baby is kept in skin to skin contact with mother. It really helps in the recovery and development of the baby. This is the kangaroo mother technique developed by Dr. Hector, where skin to skin positioning of the baby on the mother's chest is done and adequate nutrition is given to breastfeeding. Whereas babies who require intensive care, they will be put under incubation, feeding will be artificially given, and the breastfeeding will be given artificially with the help of nurse, and the breastfeeding will be given manually with the help of nurse. The feed will be given, and the prevention of infection, antibiotic treatment will be given. So the leading cause of death in low birth weight babies. What are the leading cause of death? Atelectasis, malformation, pulmonary hemorrhage, intracranial bleeding and pneumonia. Basically lung infection, brain infection and heart problems can lead to death. So normally Indian mother can secrete about 450 to 600 ml of milk per day. So irrespective of the class or educational status or the economic status of the mother. 1.1 gram protein will be there per 100 ml and 70 kilocalories per 100 ml in breastfeeding. This is the calorie of breast milk, which is enough for a infant baby. What are the advantages of breastfeeding? This can be asked as a small 2-mark question for you. Very easy to write. Safe, clean and hygienic, nutrition requirements satisfied, antimicrobial factors are present in the milk, easily digested, promotes bonding, development of jaw and teeth sucking, protects from obesity, prevents malnutrition, spacing, increased IQ and better visual acuity are among the children who are breastfed. What are the advantages for the mother when she is breastfeeding? There is lower risk of postpartum hemorrhage and anemia. It boosts the immune system. It delays the next pregnancy. It reduces the insulin of diabetic mothers. It protects the mother from ovarian, breast cancer and osteoporosis. So how to breastfeed? Feed by the clock, 1 to 4 hours interval. The milk should be given. No other food is required until 6 months after birth except medications. So is it necessary to give breast milk substitutes when the mother is having an illness and she is not having no milk protection at all? Then under those extreme conditions we can give dried whole milk powder, fresh milk from a cow, but should be appropriately diluted. But commercial formula should be as far as avoided. If needed, can be given as a last resort. Weaning should be started as early as possible after 6 months, and it should be started slowly, like fruit juice, soft cooked rice, suji, dal, vegetables should be started. The weaning period is the most crucial period in child development because the child is exposed to malnutrition and infection. If you don't give appropriate nutrition, the baby will go into illness and sickness. So it should be the appropriate education and proper care should be given during the time of weaning. The Baby Friendly Hospital Initiative is a 2-mark question for you. It is initiated by WHO and UNICEF. It encourages proper infant feeding practices. According to Baby Friendly Hospital, have a written breastfeeding policy that is routinely communicated to all healthcare staff. Train all healthcare staff in skills necessary to implement this policy. Inform all pregnant women about the benefit and management of breastfeeding. Help mothers initiate breastfeeding within half an hour of birth. Show mother how to breastfeed and maintain lactation even if separated from their infants. Give newborns no food or drink other than breast milk, not even sips of water unless medically indicated. Practice rooming in. Encourage breastfeeding on demand. Give no artificial teats or pacifiers. Foster the establishment of breastfeeding support groups. So what is the national program to prevent the feeding bottle practices? Infant Milk Substitute Feeding Bottles and Infant Food Act 1992. It came into force on August 1993. The main objective is to discontinue this practice of bottle feeding, which is a very important promoter of infection among the infants. What are the determinants of growth and development? Genetic inheritance, nutrition, age, sex, physical surroundings, psychological factors, infection, economic factors and other factors. So what is the surveillance of growth and development? How to monitor whether the child is growing normally? Normally we see physical growth and behavioral development. In physical growth mainly we look for weight for age, height for age, weight for height, head and chest circumference. This weight for age, weight is the first indicator, first thing to reduce when there is illness. So it indicates some acute problem. When there is weight for height reduction, because height will not come down like weight. So height once attained will not come down. So when height is not appropriate for age, then it says there is a chronic problem in the baby. So remember this point. Behavioral development, motor development, personal social development, adaptive development, language development, we have to see. What is the average weight and height increase during the first 5 years? It is given here. Please memorize this. And then the most important thing is to monitor the weight of the baby's growth chart. Growth chart is a 5-mark question for you. It is the Road to Health chart designed by David Morley, the initial thing. But now what we use in India is the one developed by WHO. It is a visible display of the child's physical growth and development. It is good. It is easy to follow up the child regarding the growth with the help of this card. And we can see the reference curve and see whether the child is growing normally or the child is having low birth weight or low weight or something like that. So weight is the most sensitive measure of growth. The child can lose weight but not height. So inexpensive way of monitoring weight gain and child health. Growth monitoring is an inexpensive way of monitoring weight gain and child health. So the present growth chart which we use is developed by WHO with the help of multi-center growth reference study conducted in 6 different countries across the world, where 9,440 children were studied, and their normal growth was studied, and based on that the reference curve were made. From February 2009 we are using the current growth chart under the National Rural Health Mission and Integrated Child Development Scheme. Objective is to keep the child in normal zone. So in growth card, specifically there are growth curve, whether it is dangerous or very dangerous, everything is given. And underweight, we can see whether if the child is below 2 standard deviation, it is underweight. Below 3 standard deviation, the child is severely underweight. And so all these symbols and educational things will be printed in the growth card in the native language. So integrated child development services. So this is also printed in the growth chart regarding supplemental nutrition, regarding health education, nutrition education, when immunization should be given, health checkup, referral services. For everything there is a column in the growth chart. So this is a growth chart. You see here, this is a growth chart. The x-axis has the age in months, and then the y-axis has the weight in kilogram. So we usually mark the weight of the child, and we mark the dots, and then we join the dots and see whether the growth, the curve is going in the normal direction or the curve is going in the downward direction. We can see. Another thing we can see is, see the fever. There is a health education message regarding fever, acute respiratory infection, what to do, in diarrhea, what to do. This is what I am telling. So all the messages will be clear cut given in a growth chart. So what are the uses of growth chart? This alone is separately a 5-mark question. For growth monitoring, it is used as a diagnostic tool to identify high risk children. It is used for planning and policy making, as an educational tool for mother, tool for action, evaluation tool for research purpose, and it is also useful as a tool for teaching. The preschool child percentage, 9.7% of the total population is preschool child. 2.3% of all deaths occur in this preschool age group. What are the child health problems? Now we have crossed infancy. The child has now grown up. So the child is in preschool stage. Low birth weight, malnutrition, infection and parasitosis, accidents and poisoning, behavioral problems, other factors like maternal health, family health, socio-economic circumstances, environment, social support and healthcare we will be seeing here. So that's all about the preventive pediatrics part is over. Now in the third part we will see the rest of the chapter. Thank you.